All right, we're gonna get started. Get our people coming in. Hello, hello. Woo. Okay, so I am gonna share my screen as I'm coming in with lovely, refreshed faces. All right, look, Chenki's kind of in the style too, right? She's got the like
We're all
black back thing. Yeah, I love
funny
our
when I
like
do this.
ongoing accidental matching. It's been fun. Okay. All
I got
right.
the memo this week.
Yay!
You got
I love it. I love it. The hair up, right? Good. Christina's gonna pull your hair up now.
I
Okay.
know. Hold on, let
You
me
and Kelly are rocking the down hair. It's okay. This I told the gals years ago. Nikki might remember that. If they ever see my hair like this means I did not have time to dry it, and so that is what that style is. So anyhow, welcome everyone. You guys see the screen okay? Our monetized your list. Woohoo! Okay, awesome. So Kelly is taking care of us today, and I'm really excited. We're stepping into sales, which I went into depth. And no worries, Alexandra, listening mode works just fine. I went into depth in the group about what Q2 is and what we're doing with it. And actually, I'm gonna pull something up too. But Q2 is sales, right? That's what we're stepping into right now. That is what's happening. We're talking April, May, June. Things are in motion, they're in momentum, like that sleepy kind of transition, the defrost I've been calling it, out of March coming into spring. We're in it, like it's a quick transition, right? I feel like we're like, oh, there's time, like no, we're moving, like it's spring, we're jumping. It's time to really look at where we're at, where we want to go, what that kind of turbocharge is going to be in Q2. Like that is the season, that is the vibe that I'm bringing to Q2, and I hope you're here for it, because that is I think this is a really important time for us to be looking at our sales, to be looking at numbers, to be really kind of going into the nitty gritty. We spend a good amount of time making sure that we're feeling aligned, making sure that we're feeling set up, we're feeling clear. That is incredibly important, and we don't often give enough time to that. But we've done that. We've done our due diligence. And so this is time to, it might feel a little scary, it might feel a little fast. I encourage you to embrace that this month. Like I encourage you to go, oh, like, okay, this must be okay. I'm gonna be all right. And really step out into being bold in lots of different ways. So as it says here, Q2, spring forward, step out, be bold, say what you want. You're gonna see there's ways of this. Say what you mean, be direct, and immerse yourself fully. So whatever that means for you here in Q2, that's what we're stepping into. From a business standpoint, like I said, it's sales. From an internal aligned standpoint with sales, it's the same thing of movement, transformation. That is what we're looking at, right? So that's the connection there. Everyone feeling good with that? We're good? Good? Yeah, Q2, Christina's got my link in there. You can find it in the community of Q2. So we're feeling springy, feeling vibey. All right, so real quick, very quick, because again, the elements are outlined in full detail in the community. So if you haven't gone yet, go into the community, go into the elements calendar section, go to this month, and you will see in-depth overview of not of the reason why these are chosen, and then an overview of each one. So at a quick glance here, your mission for your entrepreneurial development, and I highly encourage you to commit to this, is 5 sales asks this month. And what that averages out to, if you look at this month, it's 1 a week, right? And I'm counting that Monday, Tuesday of April that's hanging out at the end. Look at your calendar. I'm counting that as a week. That's like the bonus one. 5 asks. So that might just look like offering the sale. Hey, are you interested in working together? Are you interested in coaching? Have you thought about our program? Whatever that might be, but it's something that is just going out and just saying it directly. So again, it might be showing up in your email as a direct ask email. It might be showing up in a conversation, but however you could be willing to commit to that. Maybe it's a post. Step out of your comfort zone and see what you can create for that. Next one is the mantra. So the mantra, just in line with what we're here for April and for spring, is innovate with courage and be bold. Innovate with courage. So as we go through things this spring, as we're pushing into momentum, we will have valleys. There will be moments where things will get rough. And as we go through that, how can we innovate with courage? How can we innovate in a way that is saying, you know what would I normally do? What can I do that's different? What can I do that's bigger, bolder, thinking outside, right? That's what I want that mantra to hold for you. Innovate with courage and be bold. Whatever that holds, okay? Then the next one is the mind step. This one is a challenge. And I love that I have it in the mindset section, and I explained this on the video there in the community, but because it's 5-minute breaks for every hour of work. Okay, 5-minute breaks for every hour of work. First and foremost, it's just 5 minutes, right? Yet we can already feel that, like, oh, that mental resistance. Intellectually, we know 5 minutes, oh, goes like this. I can scroll longer than that. But then there's this mental resistance. So this is a mental thing because it really is only 5 minutes. It really will go quickly. And hopefully you're already giving yourself at least that for some bathroom breaks or something. Okay. But if not, if you're finding a lot of resistance here, this is for you because this goes way beyond taking the break, right? There's tons of scientific, physical reasons and benefits for taking the break, neuroscience reasons, smarter. I mean, just all kinds of amazing reasons to take that break. But it's also that if you don't learn how to fit this into your life now, then this idea you have of success, you're not going to learn how to do it then either. Which means you won't enjoy it. Gotta learn how to do this stuff now. All right, so I promise to be fast. All right, so next, thrive tactic. Get out in nature for 5 minutes a day. Now, coincidence? Maybe, okay, but you have 5 minutes of a break every hour. I'm only asking for you to take one of those breaks to get ideally outside. I understand some of you are in urban environments, whatever that might look like. I think it's still fine. It's getting out and just getting out, whatever that means. Like, don't put a huge qualification on this one, right? Worst case scenario, find the place in your house with a couple of plants. And if you don't have one of those places, it's time to get one of those places. Okay, so that's what I am going to, yes, giving your plants a little pep talk might count, JK, but you gotta like nuzzle them for like 5 minutes, okay? So yeah, so be out in nature. I think it's warm enough, or there's a version, Pia, if you're in here, I know you're in Finland. I don't know the weather there, but I'm assuming it's probably your version of warm that is warmer and being able to get out. So let's make that happen. So these are the elements again in detail in the platform. You can go check them out. I do encourage you to go read them, learn a little more, and commit verbally commit by commenting under that section. Say, you know what, I'm in. I'm going to do it. Okay. I know a few of you have already done that, but just make it real, right? I'm not going to come after you. Don't worry. I might check in on you and how's it going, but it's really just for you to see what it's like to say, yeah, okay, I'll do it. A little louder than in your head. Okay. So quarterly book club. It is April as well, right? April, May, June, 3 months, 2 books. And I use that lightly because the case study really is kind of a book, but not really a book. It's a PDF that you guys can get from me or from Ollie himself. The quarterly book club, as we know, always comes with one business book and one personal book. So the business book for this quarter is the case study here, Anatomy of a 10 Million Online Education Business by Ollie Richards. This is, Christina, did we ever figure out how many pages were in it? Seems to be an easy answer, but I don't think we
I
ever.
think it's like over 100. I think it's like
Yeah,
100.
I keep saying it's 170, 175, and I'm rather confident that it's not over that. So it may be much less than that. For all I know, it could be 75 pages, but I know it's not over 175.
I think it's over
Right?
100. It's a good
Okay,
one.
yeah.
Worth it.
So 3 months, 175 pages, I think we can make it work. One I'm going to tell you though, is that this is nuts and bolts. This is nuts and bolts, and it's not over your head nuts and bolts. It's not the nuts and bolts of Coca-Cola. It's something that is going to feel very relevant, regardless of the business that you're in. So Ollie's business is an online education business, and he talks about the different things that they've they tried out, they clarified as he built, which is now an over a $10 million business. So read it. I highly encourage that if you're not into the books, you haven't been committing to them lately, this one is like short of being required, right? Okay, that's what I'm gonna say. Like, really dive into this one. I believe that it's worth it. And again, it's an easy read. It's not too complicated. You can get it. Go into the platform, go to where the books are, and there's a link there where you can get it. And I also link out to where you can get it from his website. So yes, pay attention to his story brand, the whole everything about it. It's very helpful. And the second one is personality isn't permanent. So again, looking at spring and change and being bold. This is a book, if you're not familiar with it, with Benjamin Hardy, that is really kind of pushing the beliefs that we have about, well, that's just who I am, right? That's just what it is. And maybe this is an area that allow you to step into your future self and who you want to be and what you can intentionally create that personality to be. So it's also a really great read. And I got to remember, because we've been building all our emails, Christina, to share that interview that we did with Ben as well for this
Noted.
book. Yeah, so if you note that somewhere, because I keep forgetting. So those are available. The personality isn't permanent. Definitely check on Amazon or something like that. But I every once in a while it runs at like a 99 cents. So check it out if you can. And then this was just a very quick overview that I kind of wanted to show you guys of what's happening inside that community portal. Actually forgot that I made this. So when you come into the community portal, you're essentially coming into like the front door of this, what Mighty Networks calls the network, right? You're in the Modern Business Mastery Network. There's this front door that you come into. And from there, you have to decide kind of where you want to go. So you can go hang out in Modern Business Mastery. That's the free community. There will be other people who are not Mastery 360 members in there. But there is where you're going to find the free events and the community feed. So everything else that's not M360, that is what you're going to find going on in here. You come into your door, your room, the M360, that's where you're going to find M360 replays, M360 events, and the M360 feed. Everything's going to be very specific to just that, right? Then we have a section called resources. This is still continuing being built. There are things there now, but it will continue to get bigger, right? What you'll find there will be the workshop replay. So these are all the things that we do as a business publicly that aren't M360 sessions like this. So that is where you can find replays of those. If you were interested in one but missed it, whatnot, you can go into that section and find those replays. Worksheets that are kind of just for everyone. We'll have those out there. That's still being built. The books, as we talked about, the book club, what books we're reading, what books are coming up, we'll be having that. Those are actually already getting built. I think the next quarter, actually the rest of the year is set for books. So if someone does want to know, and we'll be releasing that soon because there's no like big unveil we need to wait for. So we'll get that in case you want to order them ahead of time. And we have the elements will be coming out early too. So we already have next month and I think the month after, and we have the rest of the year planned out. We just don't have them announced yet. And then, okay, so resources, you're going to find the books, you're going to find the elements, you're going to find the worksheets eventually, you're going to find the workshop replays, and you'll find a list of vetted vendors. And so vetted vendors are a list of people that may not be as close to our community as our resident council members. So you're not seeing them, working with them, but they're people that we have worked with or have clients that have worked with and are willing to have that level of vouching for the work that they've done. And so we will be creating that community network. And there's a lot of you who I'd love for you to also be able to offer your services in that list as well. So as we build that, we will continue to create that community. And later on, we'll be building a space where their courses will live. So those paid courses that you all have access to. And then our free, the free workshops is something that we're looking at too. So that's kind of it in a nutshell as we continue to just really help you understand what that is and what it looks like. Also remember to start RSVPing in the portal to the events. So that will help streamline our reminder process and all of those things, which also means it's really, really important for you to set up your notifications in Mighty Networks for the way that you want, right? Daily summaries or through email only, whatever that might look like. If this is a really like difficult, not okay thing with you, you can discuss it with me and I'm happy to help you find a solution. But this would be the easiest way for us. It could be done this way is to go and RSVP there and then your reminders become automatic, right? So when we talk about businesses and streamlining and systematizing, this is what we're attempting to do, right? So you can see it in action right here. And then here's some of the upcoming events. We do have the reflection and planning session tonight. We have the client creation code, which I'm going to go into kind of some depth of 8 steps of business foundations. And it could be a really great, it could bring some clarity for some people if you're interested, or maybe a good refresher for others. So if you have questions about it, I think we have a description on the event, so you can see a little more if it's up your jam. We're going to be launching a course soon, so that is not something that necessarily is going to be it's not going to be new stuff for a lot of you, but if you're interested in it, this is extended to you to participate in as well. Then we have our Coach Coops coming up. Oh, that one says 2 times a month, but she is going to be doing a spring clean and bloom. So talking about kind of getting rid of some toxic products, things like that, and how to bring out some the foods and things that'll make you bloom, whatever that might mean. All right. So, and then we have our work bubble on the 29th. So again, all of these are listed in the portal. Check those out, and you'll be able to RSVP to that. These are our sessions this month. So we have Monetize Your List. Next week, we're doing a funnel fix-up, because remember, we're focusing on sales. So we're going to talk about where we are in our funnels, where things are leaking, and how we fix those types of leaks, right? This is why we create systems, because they allow us to fix systems instead of throwing it all out and starting over again. Then we're going to go into Site Savvy. This is going to be a little bit of a overview of all things website, talking to you a little bit about the language, a little bit about the pieces. So when you go out, or many of you are in the process of going out to have these conversations, that you will hopefully have the pieces to help you have good, powerful, and great experiences with your web developer, because that's not always the case. So web developer, web designer. And then of course we'll have office hours and check in on the sales. So we get a lot going on. So please remember to invite friends, colleagues, people who can be supported on either our group side, or of course even in our community side, as we really aim to create impact even at that level. But yeah, I think that's about it. Christine, I think you wanted to mention one other thing about the portal, was the wins, right? You want to cover that real quick?
Just a reminder to everyone, we're kind of changing the structure of sharing our wins. We absolutely want to continue to acknowledge them, because I think they're a big part of us training our brains, right? But also it helps us get to know each other better and be more invested in one another's lives. So we're changing that for you all to post them in the group. And I think some of you have, so that is fabulous. So get in there. If you haven't, I'll post the link, and post your wins for the week, and comment and support one another with that.
Yeah, and if you the goal there would be to have you post them, so we'll still talk about them. We're working on streamlining our time management, as you know, as we tend to always go 2+ hours, and so we're trying to work on that too, right? So how can we still have all the pieces we want, and yet make it effective? And I think this is a constant thing that we're going to look at as entrepreneurs as well. Like, how do I create all these things that I want, but in a way that it's tangible and manageable? And I didn't want to give up the wins. So we're going to try this way. This way is, what if we post them beforehand, save that time of the explanation, and then we can go into the rejoicement and clarification process, which is usually more fun anyway, right? So that's the goal. And I'd really, really appreciate your participation, because I don't want to lose that part. And if it happens, we might just have to make it 2 hours. So there we go. Okay, so that's my 2 cents. Now we're 20 minutes in. I'm passing it over to Kelly. I'll stop sharing my screen, and then we can get going. Oh, you're
Right.
muted. There you go.
What does it say?
Yeah, we see your whole screen though, so I don't know if you want to do the presentation view.
Yeah, hold on. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, I will do the presentation view. Give me just a minute.
No
We're having
worries.
this morning.
Did you get a new haircut, Alexandra? No, it looks stylish. I mean, it's just
Good.
fancied up. Oh, she just had a helmet on your head.
Okay, so we're going to talk about 5 ways that you can monetize your email list, and we're going to go through them. I'm not going to try to go fast, but this is really more of an overview, because we can dive in all of these and go for days, and we only have so much time. And then we're also going to talk about best practices for monetizing your list. So real quickly, who am I? I'm Kelly. I am an email and funnel conversion specialist. What that means is I help you find the right words to get with your clients to really resonate with your clients so that you can start to build relationships with them. We've talked about this before. I'm devoted to helping and empowering coaches and course creators to harness the power of stories, to use storytelling to really build relationships so that they don't ever have to decide between career and family. And so today we're going to talk about why should we monetize, 5 ways that we're going to monetize our list or that we can monetize our list. What are those best practices? And then have a Q&A session. So that's
it.
the plan.
Camilla, are you guys excited? I mean, I'm excited about this. Like this stepping into sales, like with a gusto, it's like, boom, monetize your list. Let's talk about it. So just give Kelly some love in the chat about what you're pumped about, or just that you're pumped for today.
We're also going to start with a mindset piece because I've decided and I've learned that I really love this. And so our mindset piece today, this is my daughter. She just turned 5. But she had to go to the doctor on her birthday and she was not a happy camper. And now we're having to take medicine, and that is just like the end all at 5. And so this is Pickles, her lovely little dragon. And we had a conversation last night. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's my mindset piece. The mindset piece is we all have dragons, whatever that looks like, whether that's going out and asking for the sale, having to take your medicine, and we can fight our dragons. We don't necessarily need a knight in shining armor. We can fight our dragons, and you can do hard things, even though it's going to feel hard, especially as we turn around and we start to monetize our list. You can do this. You can do hard things. So when you come up against resistance, if you need to borrow and have Kelly in your head, you can do hard things. You can do this. And so we talk a lot. If you need to, remember, Pickles is our motto. This is the ugliest doll ever, but she loved it.
Did it come like that, or was it one of those like where you make it from the kid's drawing?
Yeah, no, it's a Build-A-Bear. And she had to put a little because she goes to dance, but the only reason she wanted it is because its eyes glow in the dark. And so imagine that at 2 a.m. when you walk through the house and the only thing you can see are the big scary eyes. She loves this thing though. And I'm like,
Oh, it's
whatever.
hilarious. I love it. I would say my son got he got the stuffed, I can't even say, it's like a roasted fish from Thailand, but it's like a stuffed version of that. And he like loved it. And I was like, he's not gonna, it's just gonna passing fad. No, that fish has done so much. And he has a little polar bear he takes everywhere. So now the fish and the polar bear are always together with this roasted Thai fish stuffed animal that we have. And yeah, you know, it happens, Kelly, it happens, but I love it. I love it.
And
Okay.
well, all of her dolls, all of her Build-A-Bears are all named after food. So we have Snickers, Twix, and now we have Pickles.
Nice.
So there you go. But that was my mindset piece because I was like, we talked about that last night. And I said, you know what? We can do hard things. It doesn't matter if
We
we're
can.
5 pushing 50. We can do this, or 100. It will be fine.
I
All
love
right.
it.
So why should we monetize our list? One, in the great world of business, your email is your asset. It is an asset. It's not like social media where if something happens, you're going to lose it. So this is an asset. And I grabbed some statistics because these are statistics I pulled yesterday. So in 2019, there were 3.9 billion email users. It's expected to increase to almost 4.5 billion email users this year. Now, the last the email, how much the ROI is, it kind of depends because I've seen it as low as $36 for every dollar that you've spent. And the statistic I pulled yesterday said $42 for every dollar that you spend. It can be incredibly lucrative if you're doing it correctly. 64% of small businesses use it. And what I thought was really interesting, 99% of email users check their email every single day. And what they didn't say, most of them check them multiple times a day.
Oh yeah.
So it's definitely something that if you're doing it correctly, there's this huge opportunity that we need to jump into and to take. A couple more statistics. Professional marketers found an increase of 750% just by building their lists and using email campaigns. And then half of the population has an email. So that's an easy way to get to half of the world if you're building your list. And then I thought this was interesting.
Is there anyone here who's still like not sure if they want to mess with email? I mean, I don't know if that's the question. Not sure if they want to mess. Like, you may not want to, but is there anyone who's like, I'm really contemplating not doing it?
And I have met people who are like, oh no, I'll use social. And I'm like, well, you're missing out on a
Okay.
huge opportunity.
Yeah.
And then usually statistic wise, they're like, oh, I didn't know. And I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
you don't, because you're not on the marketing side of it. I thought
Kelly,
it was,
what do
go
you
ahead.
say to clients? So I have a client who is, she's like, well, I don't use email. So, I mean, I don't read my email. I don't pay attention. What do you say to people when they say those things?
One, my guess would be that you're not on list. You've subscribed for a freebie, but you really aren't into their world. Two, I'm guessing they're not doing it correctly. They're not really trying to build a relationship. They're pushing an ask, because there is such a thing as called list fatigue, which is if you're always making an ask, your list is going to get tired of that. And then they're going to unsubscribe, or they're just going to stop opening it altogether. And so
Mhm.
someone came to me and said, like, I don't understand the importance of this. I'd be like, cool. Just because you don't doesn't mean that your ideal client doesn't open email.
Yes.
Doesn't mean
Right.
it's
It's
not a
half,
huge.
I mean, half the plan is what we're talking about is gonna be you know, and a big, which makes sense, because a big chunk of that will be like children and people who don't need to be on email. So it's really a big part of the world. Like, so it's like, all right, fine. If you're the little, you know, point this that's not on there, I guess it's not for you. But yeah, I love that. That's a great question, Christine, because I think it can come up where we think, well, yeah, I can just do this. Now, I think the other part of that is you can. You're right. It's just dangerous territory. It's building your empire on sand, right? And I think that's the thing, is we're not saying it doesn't work. It can absolutely work. It's just dangerous territory, right? It's you're putting yourself stilts.
Exactly. And the thing is you can use it. There's a great opportunity to use them together, but I'd be taking whatever's on my social media and pushing it to my email list, because and it has happened now at least twice that I know of, probably closer to half a dozen times, where the internet or the social media has just gone out for a day
Mhm.
or
Oh
hours or
yeah.
what. And if that happens and you're built on social media, you have now lost the ability to talk to any of your potential clients.
Oh yeah. It goes
Huge.
out, people get hacked, their accounts just get closed for like a mix up, and they don't have it for 2 months. Some people never get it back. Like this, I've been very you know, I've been like the boogeyman of people here, to all you guys, you know, here of like it's email. But I love these statistics, and I think it was just, yeah, clarifying, like, if anyone's really, if you don't need it, like, you're not on the fence, but if you needed it drawn in anymore, like, here we go. Like, if it's where
Right.
you need to be.
And I felt like this was the place to start, because so many people don't like, you take it from a consumer, but we're not consumers, we're producers. So we've got to kind of switch how
Mm,
we're thinking about this, because I thought it was interesting that 4 out of 5 marketers say we'd rather give up social media than we would our email.
yeah.
And it's
Yep.
because social media, there's a lot more work that becomes involved with trying to make a sale on social media, as opposed to nurturing a list and building that list and then making an ask.
Oh, yeah, and you know what it is? You have two, you know, with lots of steps, but if you had to go, you have 1 step in email, 2 steps in social. Social, you have to get the attention first. Oh, look at me, like, you gotta do the whole thing. And then you have to be able to go, okay, let me talk about my business really quick, and hope all that happens when somebody else decides they see you.
Mm.
Or someone goes, yeah, you can show up, and then you show up and go, hey, let's have a conversation in your email, and everyone's like, this is okay. It's even that alone, that process, so much simpler. So loving it.
All right. So we'll keep going. I don't have a ton of slides today, but we're going to keep going. 5 ways. First one, we're going to just talk about all 5. There's 5 things that you can do with your email list that is super, super lucrative if they're done correctly. First one, sell your stuff, whether that's your product, your offer, whatever that is, make the ask. Someone, if you're nurturing your list, is probably going to jump on it. It's how it works. You can do memberships where you are pushing your emails out because you have a monthly membership that people are a part of, and the emails on that way actually talk about what's in the membership, special things. Hey, share this with a friend. You can do what's called joint ventures, which we'll talk about joint ventures and both affiliate marketing. They're very similar, but they're also very different. And then you can monetize your content. I actually work with someone, have a partnership in the works right now, where what she does is she takes people's how does she put it? She takes their digital proprietary content, so stuff in their heads, their blogs, their whatever, and they are working to create a course, create a membership, create a library, whatever that looks like, to be able to get that information out into the world so that they can monetize on it. And all of that you can do
Nice.
within your emails.
Woohoo.
So sell your offer. The first one is really our what we're trying to do. Our second bullet points, the ones that are just the circles with the space, the little white ones, are how. What are we doing? So we want to make our offers compelling. If your offer is not what your ideal client wants, it doesn't matter if it's great, nobody's going to buy it. So you have to have your market research. You have to know if the offer is actually a viable offer. If it's not a viable offer, well, talk to people. What are they telling you? 90% of the time, they're going to tell you what they need, how they see the problem. And when they do, use their words in your email to talk about the problem. They may see the problem as, they they have no idea how to garden. And you are the expert gardener, where that's really not the problem. The problem is you got to get started, and you got to have the right soil, and you got to have seeds and all the things. So, but you have to talk about the problem, how they're talking about it, to get them invested in the offer. And then you can start to teach them that, yes, you may not be the best gardener yet, and you were not using soil, you were using rocks. Like it's gonna matter. And then we do what's called split testing. If you're not in the world of emails, basically that means we're trying different versions. And you can split test everything from the call to action. You can split test the actual words that you're using. You can split test your subject lines. Don't do that all at once. You get one you get one split test. You can change your subject line in one emails, and you do what it's called A/B split testing, or you can change the body, or you can change the call to action, and just see which one's performing better. Which one does your actual clients, which one's resonating more with them? Because that's going to help to make the offer more compelling. And then if they're on your list, you can actually give exclusive offers to your list, either early bird pricing. Some of these things we'll talk about more here too. Early bird pricing, upsells, maybe they get a discount, something like that. You also need to educate them about why they need this. So this is one of the times where we talk a lot about the transformation, where they are now, what does working with you look like, and where are they going to be after they get your offer, your product, your service, whatever that is.
Yeah, I love, and then that educate that and offer it to them. Remember that educate, if you think of it as, how can I teach them to be a good buyer of this product? Right? How can I actually legitimately go, how to choose? I'm like thinking Chenge, right? How to choose your next trainer. Like that's the most obvious version of that. But literally start to teach people like these are the things you should look for. This is how you should, these are the questions you should ask or think about. This is how you find out if they're a match. All these little pieces that as you're going through different ways that you're sharing your content, different pillars, to remember that there's little things you can include in there that are literally teaching them how to be better consumers in your industry. Liz Raleigh, there's a huge opportunity there for her to teach people how to buy her product. Like almost directly say that in her case, like because of her business, she can say, this is what you should look for. This is what you should do. Also, before we move into the next one, Kelly, there was a great question here that Chenge had, which was a little about kind of the process before we get to the list, which I know we're talking about kind of post list now, but maybe just offer a little mini insight here. But it was, how can we move people from social when they're there in the first place into our email list? She's like, those people who love reading her posts, but they're not moving onto her list.
I would maybe reach out to them and like, hey, is there like some kind of resource that I could offer you as a freebie for the lead magnet to then be able to say, I'd love you on my list? Or even reaching out and saying, hey, you love my content. I would love to make you to be on my list because this is just more content that you already want to consume. But at the end of the day, it would be figuring out what the lead magnet is and starting to convert them that way. If the lead magnet's not converting, I've had clients where they've had 5 or 6 different lead magnets, and based on the lead magnet, it's segmenting into their emails so that they can actually make different offers and sell different products to different people.
Based on what they're interested in. Yeah. And I think it was because you mentioned here like A/B testing, and I thought that was the perfect kind of interjection there, is that it's almost the same thing, right? Like as we're trying to move people from our list, the process is really the same. The process goes from, you found out I exist through some version of content, right? Or me physically standing there, which isn't as likely with our online businesses. So you found out I exist, you're hearing what I say, but we're not actually like connected. We don't have each other's phone number, we're not hanging out. So what is that piece that we give? And you might go, what about this? You know, what if we met at the park? And they're like, "Oh, I don't really like the park." And you're like, well, what if we like shot some hoops? And you're like, oh, I don't know, we don't like big balls. You're like, okay, what about a small one? So you might kind of play with that until you start going, wow, a lot of people want to come hang out at this thing I'm doing. That's going to be it, right? That's the process, is that the structure and strategy is there because the existence of relationship in humans, it just works that way. Like that hasn't changed, it's not changing, but it's going to be how we keep playing to test out what works, right? What works for each one. So I think that's that testing and movement from one place to the other.
And one other thing I wanted to point out is when you're educating, if you're asking like, here, how to be a better buyer, or here, these are the questions you should ask when you're hiring a copywriter, make it so that it's super obvious that you're the answer. Like
Right.
you don't want them to be like, oh, cool, I have a list of criteria now. Let me go find someone else. You're like, no, me, I was the answer. Like,
Right, yeah, you don't wanna be like, find somebody who has a team of 20, and you're like, I don't have a team of 20, and you're like, well, wait a minute, that maybe wasn't the best thing. And one other thing, Pia asked real quick, where do you physically place your different lead magnets if you have many? And I can answer that real quick too, and then Kelly, if you have any insight. But the lead, that's like more of a quote unquote tech thing. But usually when you're sharing them online, you're sharing them as a link, right? You're sharing them as something, but they'll click and they'll go to some sort of page where they'll put in their email. And then that email on your back end will trigger a little thing that delivers their lead magnet, right? And that'll kind of happens on the back end. So in terms of where they live, they're actually really living in your email system, right? They're living in your email system, and depending on different ways where you're kind of housing the actual piece, but they're really just getting delivered via email. But on the outside world, you have those links. So I don't know,
it's
does
called
that help
opt-in.
you a little bit?
And also to add to that, I was just getting ready to type this in the chat. I think the answer is everywhere, Pia. So, I mean, you
Yeah.
don't want to like bombard people with things, but you can do them in your email signature. You know how Tanya teaches the super signature. It can be one of the 3 things or the 4 things that you include. On your LinkedIn, if you do LinkedIn, or you do Instagram, it can be like your link in bio. If you go to a website, you can do a pop-up. I'll put my website in the chat real quick. If you hang out for a couple seconds, here, there it is. If you hang out for a couple seconds, you'll see I have a lead magnet pop up. You can mention it if you're on a podcast. And you're having a great interview, you can say, hey, you know, by the way, I just released this thing. You can check it out here. Amy Porterfield does that a lot. If you've
Oh
ever
yeah,
like
huge. That's our whole business
her
model.
whole spiel and
Yeah,
thing.
because
And she runs
why I was
phenomenal.
asking this is that Tanya, you know that we've done together and you've helped me doing the website, and I have a one lead magnet about one thing, very central thing on my website. But then I was thinking that maybe some smaller ones I could put somewhere, but I don't understand where to put them physically.
Yeah,
So
I
that
got it.
if I have, for example, in my LinkedIn profile, I have a link, but where does it go to so that it wouldn't,
It would
mess with some other stuff?
it
So
would be
should
its
it
own
be
opt-in page.
separately somewhere, or?
What were you saying, Kelly?
I would make it its own opt-in page. It basically is like a
Okay.
little, it's an extra page on your website or an extra page wherever you want to put it. That literally is like, here's my thing, put your email in, put your, and I always say name. You want to know who you're talking to, because like a lot
Yeah.
of times with my emails, I will actually use the coding so that they are getting the emails that have their names in them, because there's actually research that says every time you see your name, you re-engage. So if you have that throughout the email, it's going to re-engage them every time they see their name. And so I always ask for name and email as a minimum, like at least your first name. I don't know
Yeah.
who you.
Yeah, I think that's good. Like, I think, Pia, there's a couple of places probably because you have a main funnel, and I think this is important too. I know we're kind of going off a little bit, but it's important too. It's like, so she has a main funnel which says, look, ideally, you see this assessment, you take this assessment, you get this value from us, we give this value to you, we engage in a conversation through there, we've identified what you need, and now we hopefully are able to help you, right? That's kind of this funnel of this one particular lead magnet. But that's the thing, Pia, right? That's not going to be the process for everyone
Right.
or for every type of person, right? That might work for the manager, but we need something else for this other product we do or this other type of thing. There might be a checklist or something else that's a little less involved, right? Like even though it's an assessment, doesn't take them too long, maybe someone just wants to click the button and go, look, give me something easy, right? Don't make me answer questions. So having something like that at different places on your site that makes sense, you know, where it's maybe referencing that particular style of product or person. And then, yeah, all the other places Christina talked about, like, you know, kind of just living in other places on your signature or whatnot. But it might just be a particular email or post you make. It says, hey, we've been talking about this, working on this, and I created this. If you're interested, here's the link. And then they click it and then they go and get the thing, right?
Okay.
Wait, that helps. That helps. And if we get some more details, just throw it on your Trello board.
Yes. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is, and we'll talk about this again, but how do you sell your offer through your emails? This is actually, I've been doing a lot of research because depending on who you research with, some people will say you have to do 3 value emails and then you have an ask, or you have to do, you know, you can only ask once a month or whatever. This is actually from Dana Metfield. She's the CEO of Boss Moms. So she has built her whole organization through the Boss Moms Facebook group with 75,000 people, but this is her what she calls them permission sandwiches. And I absolutely love them because this is giving people a variety of different ways to understand you, to know you, and to begin to build that relationship before you ever make that ask. So the very first thing that you do is you send them an email, whatever you're selling or what is in your world, you give them permission to be where they are. So if you're a master gardener and your ideal client are people that want to learn, you give them permission to not be a great gardener. Like, it's cool. I understand. I see you. I was there. It is totally okay that you are there. Lots of people start there because a lot of people feel like they're by themselves and they feel like they're on an island. So when you give them permission to be wherever it is that they are in their life, in their business, in their whatever, it's so validating. It's so validating. And it starts to make people go, okay, you're not like everybody else. I want to know more. Like, you just gave me permission to start here, as opposed to feeling like the starting line is 3 miles up the road.
Mhm.
And then the next emails that you send, or the next email that you send, she calls them clout emails. I call them expert emails. These are just an opportunity where you can say, hey, here's who I am. Here's what I do. Here's why I'm an expert on this. Or, hey, I was featured in this podcast. I thought there's some really great stuff about gardening that I thought would apply to you. And so you basically say, hey, I'm showcasing that I really am the expert. This is why you should listen to me. The third email that you send in this cycle is called training emails. They're the value emails. You can, and what I love about them, or what I do with these, is try to find a way that your ideal person can experience a quick win. The reason is if they can experience a quick win, you are automatically an expert. 100%. No, like, and trust, it's there. And when I say a quick win, we're talking 30 minutes to 24 hours. You tell them, okay, you're a master gardener, or you're not a great gardener. Here's what I want you to do. Go outside and I want you to put together, get some rocks, some soil. Here's how we're going to start the layer so that you are ready to go and you can, grow a sunflower. And then as they start to experience that win and they do what you tell them to do, hey, you are an expert. I want to know more. I want to know more. And then the recommendation emails. This works really well with a joint venture if you've already got one, or a partnership, or even affiliate marketing. You say, hey, as the expert, I know you're working on gardening. I wanted to share with you this link. It could be an affiliate link. It could be, hey, you need to talk to, whoever our resident gardener is, or hey, here's a 10-minute YouTube video. But here are things that as an expert, I recommend would help you on your path with no strings attached. I'm not asking for money. I'm not, I'm just telling you that as a friend, here's what I would recommend. And then when you've done those 4 things, then you can make an ask. Hey, I've shown you I'm an expert. Your permission to be right where you are. I've given you value. I've made recommendations. Now, if you're interested in working with me, or, hey, I have a course about gardening, this is where you make that ask. So we have really tried to build the relationship before we've ever stepped out and said, hey, I have this thing, you should buy it. And then after you have the ask and they buy it and all those things, you ask for feedback. We are finishing the communication loop by saying what worked, what didn't work, what can we do better next time? And then you can turn around and go back again. Cool. Now you have permission to be where you are. You're not a brand new gardener. You're a novice gardener, and that's okay. Like, we have to move forward. And this cycle can go back over and over again, which is what I love about it. It makes it a lot easier to say we have built in the relationship before we are ever saying, give me money. Like,
Yes, I love that. So aligned.
all right, so the next thing we can do with our email list is we can do memberships. Memberships is very, very popular right now because this came out about 6 months ago, where people would start to say, well, people don't want courses. They want to be a part of my membership. The cool thing about a membership on your side is if it's $25 a month, it's $25 a month. They're not paying you $100 and then they get all the content forever and always. They're paying for $25 a month. The caveat there is they're expecting new things to come out and to continue to come out and exclusive content. And so you have to kind of stay on top of a membership. Otherwise, people are gonna it's just kind of like a funnel with everything else. That your buyer will go through what you have and then they'll jump. And so you have to use your emails to keep your membership relative, figure out what people are needing, and continue to add that content. So this one's a little bit more having to be on top of it than, say, having a course that's already built out where you're just essentially funneling traffic to it and having the emails and stuff already built out. This one is much more active in terms of you having to say, cool, what content do you need? Hey, this is the content coming out. Hey, next month, this is the content that we're going to continue to have out. So
Yeah, I love the point you made in here though, is that like for somebody who has a lot of content that's just been sitting there, or, and this happens a lot. I'll meet with clients. One of the questions I always ask is, what are your business assets? And they're like, what do you mean? Like, do I own this yacht or something? It's like, no. Do you have a course that you've been sitting on, or a book you've half written, or these 800 podcast episodes that you did and have just been sitting there? Is there something to do? Because perhaps this list that is not maybe buying some of your bigger item things or bigger things, maybe it's just a different way they want to consume what you have, and there may be a way. So this may be something for those of you who are like, I got so much to share, or I have so much in the vault, to go, maybe this is the angle I want to play with, or I want to introduce into moving some of my subscribers into. So yeah, I know this is something that a few of you all we've talked about, and this is an interest. So I think this is just a great confirmation that this option is there. I can tell you for myself, I have so much content. And if you see, I have a thing called the blog that just is lists. And I'm like dreaming of having like another blog that I can put all that stuff up. So stuff on. So if you're as crazy as me, like this, you're like, this is right up your alley. So I love that you brought this up. This is a good option for those where it fits.
yeah. Okay, the next thing is joint ventures. And again, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but it's an effective way to leverage your professional relationships in a way that's going to benefit both of you. So I have a joint venture right now where I'm the copywriter, and this person that I have joint venture with is a website designer. So we occasionally we will borrow each other's audiences, because she teaches people how to do website. I teach people how to write. Like, yeah, your website could be beautiful, but if it doesn't really convert, it doesn't really matter. And so you need both. Joint ventures are they offer things that your audience needs or can use. You have to be really mindful when you do a joint venture that you are doing something that your audience, that is integrity with your audience. So that's something that they could use, that's something that they want, that's something that they will benefit from. You're not just selling for the sake of selling to your list. If you do it correctly, again, it could be incredibly lucrative. They can also be very time consuming, because you want to make sure that you're doing what you need to be doing with it, and that the other person, we'll talk about this too. The perfect joint venture partner is somebody that your audience is interested in their topic. I've seen this done really, really well, where if it's like I used to have a coach that was a coach for working moms. She would bring in other people that, hey, cool, you want to work from home? Well, maybe you want to be a web designer. So she would bring in someone who taught web design, and then she would sell that course. And on the back end, she got like $500 for every course that was actually sold. So it can be lots of money really fast, depending on how you do it. But you have to be careful of the pitfalls of joint venturing, because you want to make sure that you understand everything. The contract is mutually beneficial for both parties. You don't want to just enter in with some random person. You want to make sure it is somebody that you have built a relationship with. Because if they don't have a proven track record, if they have a lot of credit issues, if they don't respond to your emails, that is not a perfect joint venture partner. And there are other things on the back end that you have to fill out, like, cool, if we're driving this to a website, whose website are we using? How are we splitting the money on the back end? All of those things, all of those details have to be worked out before you do a joint venture, because it's really easy to get burned if you're not mindful of all of those pieces.
Yeah, definitely want to do that thoroughly, and also making sure that I was going to say on the front end, I love you brought up front end, you want to make sure that this is someone beneficial to your audience, right? It's not just like, oh, I like this person and we got to do something. Like, it's got to have a purpose and purposeful for your audience. And also trusting them for sure, because as your audience is literally trusting you to bring this person, we just talked about the vetted vendors list that we're bringing in. And that is going to be people that we've worked with or that we know who has worked with them, results of their work, to be able to put them on that list. So you want to know that if you send somebody, the worst thing is them come back and go, oh, I didn't have such a great experience with so-and-so. Like, oh, that's not no bueno. And then the third part is that behind the scenes, because that admin, trust, all of those things. And now let's say you have all that down, you have like the right trustworthy person, you're like, this person's amazing, all that. I will say from experience, one of y'all need to be organized because if one is not, this will be a headache. And so it is about either being very clear how everything runs, or somebody goes, look, I got the things and the links and that, or you're willing to hold the other person's hand. I'm dealing with a client right now who has all these big ideas, but then they don't want to do all the details that make it worth it. And they're like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, well, then this isn't going to be the option. This takes these extra pieces. So I love this. This can be very powerful because first and foremost, you have to have a list to make this beneficial, or like be starting a list. You don't have to have a big list, but like this, when Kelly says this is how to monetize your list, this is the case. Because if you go, hey, I have an audience, you have an audience, let's do something together, that's a joint venture, rather than I have nobody, you have people, let's help me. Right? Like, we have to, but it might not be your list, it might be your talents that you share, and they're willing to share their list with you, right? So there's lots of different ways. So I don't want to scare you from it, but I love that you brought up the reality of it, Kelly, because it is something that we can, I think our heart-led part can be like, this is great. And then you learn the hard way, especially someone who's very like, I want organization. I realize I'm either going to be in control of this, like I have to do it. Am I willing to take on that job? Or I need them to, are they up to that job? And if none of those are an answer, like, we can't do this. It's not gonna,
Right.
doesn't matter how great the idea is.
Right. And I think that's the key with joint ventures. It's mutually beneficial, beneficial for both people. And then the other thing that I was going to add to this is, like you said, if I bring people in and I say, hey, go with Emily, and then Emily doesn't deliver, my integrity's on the line. Because I told my people that she was good and she's not good. Now they're not going to trust me the next time. So now I've got it's knocked my butt back to square one. And now I'm back to building up that know, like, and trust because the other person didn't follow through.
Yeah.
So now, like I said, this one's a little more broad of an umbrella, but you're going to monetize your content. You can monetize your podcast. You can monetize your newsletter. You can create a library. This is a little different than a membership because you just dump stuff and say, hey, go. Or you can create a coaching or consulting program around that. So with the podcast, you can generate ads to run to your podcast, or you can create a paid podcast. I actually was a part of something a year or so ago where the gentleman I paid per month, and he released a secret podcast that he would send out in an email, and he would also I think quarterly, would like handwrite a note to each person on his list about how they were meaningful, how we met, how we were, you're doing a great job, keep going. And it was great, but it was a very secret thing. Like you got on the website, you got in, and then everything was done through email. Like it was very hush hush. This is my secret podcast of like my secret help to help you, but I'm not giving it to the world. And so that's one way that you can do that. Newsletter, you can create a paid newsletter with exclusive content. I've seen this done several times. I have a client that puts one out every month. And what's cool about her newsletter is she has people where she's like, if you have she's a sales, she's basically a fractional marketer and a fractional sales person now. But what she does is she's like, if you have sales questions, email me and I will put them in the newsletter and push them back out to you guys.
Yes,
With
I've seen that and I love that idea so much. I actually have it written down on one of my ideas list, but I love the ideas like send it and we will feature it and respond to it and talk about it. Like, let's have a real conversation about the
Right.
real things you want to talk about. I love
Right.
that.
And then even on the bottom of the newsletter, I've seen things like, here's our affiliate programs, like we did not, the only thing we have with this is we get a kickback if you buy, like just be
Yeah.
aware that we have affiliate links. Or I've even seen, and this is becoming really, really popular, buy me a coffee link where
Mm.
they can just tell you that they really like your newsletter and they can buy you a coffee, or they can put money towards your Amazon account or like whatever. And it may not be a lot, but if every person on your list buys you a coffee, you got coffee for a while. Like there's
Yeah.
so different ways that you can do this.
If 1,000 people give you $1, you have.
Right.
So yeah, I love that. That's great. Well,
That
so
was
all
good.
of these things, you still have, wait, sorry, you haven't done coaching or consulting yet, right? Or did you?
Right. So no, I haven't. So library is kind of like a membership, except you just dump your stuff there. You say, here's the password and whatnot. Go, like, enjoy my stuff. And I actually keep a library that's not actually a paid library at this point, but I have kept a library on Teachable since I began because I wanted to know where my stuff was. And I wanted to be able to see the evolution. And at some point, if I ever have a course or whatever, I want to be able to offer it as a free resource. Here, you can go dive in the world. I call it the vault of knowledge. You can go dive in the vault of knowledge and do all things Kelly. And it might be really interesting to see the progression of where we started to where we are now. But that's
Yeah.
another option. And then with coaching or consulting, you can create your program. And I've seen people just create courses and go. There's a number of different ways that you can do that. All of those are backed by emails. If you have a program and you're doing what's called a drip, so you're offering a little bit of content every day, a lot of times there will be an email sequence that will support that and say like, hey, don't forget this is what's going on today, or hey, you've accomplished the first week, give yourself a pat on the back, let's keep going, because those help to continue with the momentum that they've started with. As far as consulting goes, same with the emails. Like if you're pushing out, hey, I'm consulting, it could be one of your offers. It could be, all your business could be a consulting type business. It just depends on how you want to go and monetize your your information, all the information that you have created and put out into the world. How are you going to put this out into the world? And how are you going to use emails to support that?
Yeah, because that's your direct line, right? And all of these pieces here, and I think as some of you are hearing this and maybe having some ahas, this can be as simple or as big as you want it to be, right? Like an access to a library, I can go, oh, I don't know, do I have this? You don't have to have hundreds of things. It doesn't need to be thousands of dollars. It can be, I saw one that was a library of things that was stuff this gal was sharing, videos she had done over like a last year and a half. And I think she was selling her access to her library was like $8 a month. That was like the thing. You could get all her teaching together for $8 a month. And some people would get it. Some people would be there for 3, some people, but that wasn't the core of the business. It was just another way to monetize what she had and was like, hey, it's sitting here not doing anything. Or recognizing that there are ecosystems where the idea of like, buy me a coffee is a very real thing. You might be like, what the heck is that? There's like buttons on certain things. They have even monetization in all different forms on YouTube. And there's even what is the newsletter called? Thrive something. Is it just Thrive, Christina? What is that? It's like a healthy big Ariana Huffington and her Thrive.
Oh, Thrive Global, maybe? Is that what they
Yeah,
call
I
it?
think it's Thrive Global. Yeah, so they're rather large online publication. They have a thing that says, we're so excited to provide this type of support, for at no cost without a paywall. Would, consider $2 to add to the cost to keep this open, right? So there are different ways for you to, to proudly, confidently, honest and full of integrity go, I would appreciate some value for what I do. All right.
Yeah.
And so just wanted to say, like these little pieces there, they're very tangible, they're very accessible. Yes, you can make them big and like, oh, I'm gonna have a library with like 8 different things, or it can just be very small and easy. Very small and easy too.
And with my library, I literally started collecting it so I could keep everything in one place. And at some point we'll monetize on it because it's like I did it so that I had access to stuff. Because if I was on a podcast or I was on other things, I was like, I don't know how to find that stuff. And so I started putting it together just so that I knew what I was working on and I knew what my body of work, for lack of a better word, to put out there, what it was. Because I would have people randomly be like, oh, I loved that podcast. Awesome. Tell me more.
What was that
podcast are we
one? That was
talking about?
your own library. Yeah. Well, and yeah, that's the thing is it can be those simple things. And here's the thing, if they go, well, I don't know what to do with it. There's all these worksheets, there's all this stuff. Like you're like, right, that's what the course is for. Like if you want to know how to do it, you want to hold your head, that's why you pay. Because again, as you heard me say, information is not the thing we pay for, right? I can give you my whole library, share my computer with you guys. Go ahead, run the business. The amount of time it's going to take you to go through all that stuff, sort it out, make sense of it is going to be a lot different than just having the conversation of like, this is what we should do. Right.
Right. 100%.
So,
And I mean, and that's the thing is you can give all this stuff out. And I actually have had this conversation multiple times with clients because they don't want to give out their information in email. We don't want to give out our value. We don't want to give out
right.
whatever.
Oh no.
You should. You should, because at the end of
Yes.
the day, you are the secret sauce. They may have the recipe, but if they don't know how the recipe fits together, it's not going to be the same as working with you. And so you can give them that information or put it out on social media or whatever. It's not the same as saying, cool, you have the information. Now, if you want to know how to decode it, I'm the
Yeah.
person for you.
I have flour and egg and whatever else, but I sure as heck can't make pasta right now. Like the
Right.
ingredient doesn't help me. Like I need some direction. So yeah, you got this. And if everything you know can be given away via email, like God bless you. Like you got a lot to, you got some other things to work on in your repertoire.
There's definitely a disconnect. So, and I
Yeah.
mean, like, I do run across it quite a bit where
Yeah.
they're like, we don't want to give out. Well,
Well,
don't give out your entire course. Give out pieces of it. Give
yeah.
out that are going to be, that are actually going to help them decide that your course is actually the thing they need.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
And so,
most people don't read the email and go, I'm going to do every single thing this says right now. That's not what
right.
they
They're
do.
like, oh, I might come back to that later. Okay. So
But
the
a
next,
course makes you do it. Hiring a coach makes you do it. Whatever those things are, that's the accountability. That's what they're paying for. It's the you-ness and the way you do it and approach it. Every single one of you, that's what they're paying for, is the way you do it, the way you approach it, your nuance to it.
well, and I also love how Kristen said, give away up to 20% of your course. I feel like the 80-20 rule comes into play there. Like
Yeah.
that 20% is going to be, it might get them 80%. It's not going to get them all the way. And
Yeah.
so working with you is literally going to, that's just going to help to say, hey, you really are the answer. So your services, your offer, your course, whatever that looks like, you're the answer to it.
Yeah,
And
no, I say, yeah, and even Changay, people reluctant to share about their coaching training, like you're just gonna steal it. No, show it. This is what I can do. This is how I can pull it together. And even if someone tries to do the same thing, they're not me. They're just not gonna be
100%.
me.
And I had somebody recently be like, well, like someone might steal my stuff. And I'm like, actually, your information came from somewhere. All of the stuff that we learned came from somewhere. This is your spin on it, your take on it, your, what do I want to call it? Your framework on it.
Yeah.
But it came from somewhere. So if somebody's going to steal it, like it's not going to be the same. It just isn't. So as we move into affiliate marketing is a little bit different than joint ventures. So you use your email list to promote someone else's product or service. Again, this should be in integrity with what your audience needs. And then you earn a tiny little commission off the back end. You have to be careful about doing this because you want to curate offers that are going to be appreciated by your list. You can cross-sell. There's a lot of ways you can do this. You can cross-sell. I've done it in terms of like, hey, here's my monthly book club. Here's a book I really think you guys would appreciate. If they go and buy it, I get a kickback basically for recommending it. So that is how affiliate marketing works. It's like I said, it's a little bit different, but this will kind of explain it. Joint venture, just a strategic partnership. We are sharing our resources, our risks, and our rewards for a common goal. Mutually beneficial is that key word. Affiliate marketing, we're earning a commission for promoting someone else's stuff.
Yeah, it's super clear. I like that.
And it, like, this is one of those things, a lot of times with my clients, they get really confused because I'm like, they're like, oh, I'm doing this. I'm like, that's actually affiliate marketing. That's not joint venture. There's very little, let's say not little, there's less work involved in saying, give me a link so I can earn commission off the back end versus let's put together an offer that we can both benefit from.
Yeah, yeah, that's a whole different level of creation than like, here's a link. I like athletic greens because that's usually what everyone's sharing on YouTube. Yeah.
So best practices, we're going to engage with the audience. Like we talked about, we're going to build relationships versus always making that ask. We're going to always make an ask that always making an ask is going to fatigue your list and it's going to make people weary and they're not going to want to open your emails. They're going to get that icky feeling when they see your name pop into their box. And that's the opposite of what we want. We want them excited. We want them like, yes, Kelly, you said something. I want to know what she's talking about today. So we want people to be, we want them to want to be part of our world. Okay, we
Yeah.
want them excited. We want them to feel like they're part of our world, our community, our movement, our whatever we're trying to create. The next thing, we're providing content. This is just a reiteration of those emails because we want to do permission emails, the expert emails that are showcasing who we are and what we do, the training emails, recommending as a friend. I always write my emails like I'm talking to my best business friend. And then your asks with your call to action. Even the permission emails, even the experts that aren't necessarily making an ask still need to have a call to action. That call to
Yes.
action could be, hey, I see this, you have total permission to be a hot mess and that's great, but respond back to me and tell me, like, how can I support you as a hot mess? I've been there. Maybe you just need solidarity in being a hot mess. Just make sure you have a call to action every single time because a confused buyer will never buy. And if you only have a call to action when you're asking, it's a little, for lack of my brain went to my 14-year-old. It's a little sus. So it's a little like,
right.
So
Just wait till November, y'all. You'll find out every list you've been subscribed to that you haven't heard from all year will show up because they want to ask you for something. But you won't hear anything now, and if you'll probably forget you even signed up. But come whatever Black Friday is, so around the 29th of November, I'm sure you'll hear from them. And that is not how we want to do business. Because what
Not
they're
at all.
going to compete is on price to the bottom. That's the game they have to play, and that's not what we're trying to do.
Right. And then remember that sales is service. So when you're making an ask, you really are just trying to meet them where they are and to give them something that's going to make their life better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when we're one of the things you can do with your list, you can offer discounts, promotions, upsells, things like that to on the list. So if you offer a discount, you give them a percentage off. I don't typically tell my clients to take this route because when you discount, there's a subliminal messaging that you're sending to your clients that says, I think I charged too much. I don't actually believe in the value that I charged it. So I'm going to give you this discount. And then you attract the discount buyers who, just want the discount. What's the biggest discount? What's the bottom line? That's not what we want to attract. We want to attract real people.
I think for like coaches, course creators, also like that's not the main thing we want to do is like these deep discounts. There's different wording we can play with, but for those who have products, like we have a gal who does cakes, right? So this makes sense in her space, right? So I think when you have the right space where it's not going to be off brand or diminish your product, that's where you want to be mindful. Because I think this is the one everyone runs to first. And it really should be more nuanced. It should be like the final, maybe like thing at the end, right?
I usually tell my clients that if you're going to offer a discount, you do that when you're re-engaging a list. You do that when it's, hey, it's your birthday. I want to make sure that I'm giving you something so that you feel valued for your birthday, or hey, you've been with us for a year on our list. Like that's what I say. And like you said, it's very nuanced. The other thing is it has to be done with an integrity. It's like you're not doing it to make a bunch of money. A lot of things what I tell my clients to do is to do promotions like early bird pricing. Oh, you guys, since you're on my list, you get this 3 days early before everybody else. Or maybe you get it for $4.97 and when it goes live, it's going to be $6.97. Because this gives them an incentive for being on your list and for staying on your list. And then
because I could see like Liz, I could see discounts working in different areas for you if it was like a bundle type thing or spring. And then Chenge, I could see a discount for you would probably show up more in the way of like you know, this month we're including the debrief, right? Like you wouldn't be like, you get it free. It's like we're including this that obviously normally costs, right? Like it would just be that would be your version of doing that. But I thought, yeah, more like a
Well,
promotion.
and I said upsell in here. That's really not the right word. You can tell I did this late at night.
Oh yeah.
It's really a what do we call it? An added value, like that, like
Yeah.
adding a product. Hey, you're getting it with for if you buy in the next 48 hours, I'm going to add a 15-minute coaching call with me. I'm going to add something that's really easy, and it can be anything. But I like added value because it makes people feel like they're, oh, you're giving me a little bit more, you're going the little extra mile, you're putting a bow on top of it. You have to be careful with the added value because is possible, and it's a whole thing, but you can actually add too much value, and then that can mess with your pricing if you're like,
And then
I'm
that
gonna
can
give the full
devalue
out.
it because then
Yeah.
it just looks like a big fluffy mess. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so like a bonus, what do we call it? Early bird pricing. What is the other thing? If you buy it right now, I'll throw this in. If you buy it in the
Oh,
next 24
fast action bonus
fast action
or
bonus. Thank you. Yeah. If you do a fast action bonus, that kind of stuff, that is the stuff that typically my clients are very into because
this
that
is a great way to use that old stuff from your library, right? Fast
yeah,
action bonus, do this now and we'll include our 8 seasons of podcasts, right? Like,
right.
why not?
Or do this now and I'll give you an extra training, like whatever.
Yeah.
And people will jump on it. So as we're talking about the best practices for this, test different options. Like we talked about that split testing, see what different offers work with your different audiences. And then while you're doing that, as we also kind of talked about it, was using segmentation. If you're using different people, like if you're going for different options, different things that you're pushing at people, or perfect example, I used to have a client who what we did for her lead magnet was a quiz, and at the end it would push them into a done for you service or a here are my products, here's a done with you, here's a done for you, here's the high-end concierge white label whatever, and it segmented to that. And then what we pushed down on the email side was very, very tailored to each list, because nobody wants every single email that you send. Like
Yeah.
Just to note too, once you segment, you'll see higher open rates. You'll typically you'll see much higher open rates, sometimes double, and higher click-through rates. So it's just better performance because those people are more in tune with that exact message that you're sending. So you'll see, like on your KPIs, those will perform better when you segment.
Yes, which is where we are. Always measure your results. This is the last best practice. So you have to measure your results of your campaign, because otherwise you don't know if you were successful or not. Did you generate revenue? Did you have click-through rates? Did you have open rates? Like, what are you looking at? So before you start, you have to know what we're going to track. You can't go at the end and say, oh, I've just decided now we're tracking sales, but we didn't actually track that. I'm just going to take a blind stab. No, you need to have these KPIs decided before you're like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this joint venture. We're going to do, this membership or whatever. While we do this, what are the KPIs that we are tracking? And open rates, I don't love. I usually use that as it's almost more of a vanity metric because it is the easiest one to mess with. So I usually look at like click-through rates. I want to know click to open rates. I want to know sales, because those are going to be the key performance indicators that are telling me, are we actually being successful with what we're doing, or are we not? And we need to tweak some things. Measuring results is going to give you power to make informed decisions to essentially do better next time.
Yeah. Gotta learn to love numbers. I never loved them, but I gotta look at it. Numbers don't lie.
100%. And then you guys have any questions or you want to talk about
Any questions? Well, first and foremost, thank you so much, Kelly. I loved it. There were so many pieces in here, and it's just, again, one of the reasons we work together is because it's so aligned. Like there were so many times she was saying things, I'm like, that's what I would have said. So I loved it so much. So thank you. And yes, I mean, we have a small enough group, so let's go around. Take it, you're up in my top right corner there. So any thoughts, questions, any of it? Let's talk about it. Oh yeah, connect with Kelly and get with her in the group.
There you go. And then I will stop the share, maybe. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no questions for now. I asked what I wanted to know, and then I took a bunch of notes, and I have a bunch of ideas I want to try now. So
Ooh, she's got her hands up. You're like, ooh, a bunch of ideas. Okay, awesome. What's one of the ideas you want to try?
I really like this buy me a coffee thing. It has been kind of on my, not on my list, it's just kind of in the back of my mind for a while. And I've been like just kind of playing around with the idea of actually just putting it in there, and then, if someone wants to pay me a coffee, then I'm actually okay with
Yeah,
that.
right. I love it. Like, well, I'm not gonna go against it. Well, and it's interesting. I think the Substack is really growing along with this idea of paying for content. I've seen that at many different stages. I know our very own Liz Right Here has quite a pricey paywall content actually for one of hers. And then I have another client who runs one that I think it's like $7 or $9 a month, and he includes like a training session every month. So and he loves it because he loves to write, and then he just shows up once a month to talk to everyone about what he wrote that month. And that is just it's a lovely little thing for him. Whereas Liz is very in depth, and like the people and her audience are very committed to a cause, and so they're like, this is an investment for them to have someone of her stature and her depth of knowledge like equip them with what they need to know, right? So they're paying a high price. So there's a lot of different ways to monetize that and play with that, Chang'e. So I think it's a real reasonable thing to look into, because and how just go about, how do I convey that I'm okay with you valuing what I do. Here it is. So I love that. How about Pia? How about you? I know you were having some connection issues, but if it's okay to chat, how's this all for you?
Yeah, there are a lot of ideas and of course a lot of questions like, okay, what could I do and with what kind of clients perhaps? Because I'm also thinking that because if I'm running workshops for larger companies, maybe I could also offer them something like, okay, there could be some kind of, I don't know, library or perhaps some kind of Q&A session group or something like a monthly or can be
What
just
would a
any.
training session like if you were working with a corporate, what would that look like? Like let's hash that. That's what we're here for, right? Like what would that look like? Like you're gonna go meet with them and do a presentation, and then you would offer a lead magnet or offer another product?
I don't know because I was even thinking that, well, this was more about the marketing, but I was even thinking about that, maybe for all clients that I've worked with, maybe for those I could somehow utilize
Yeah.
these ideas, because I think that, for example, if I work with the topics about different cultures, I know that people, if they've gone through some kind of cultural awareness course, I think they would love to get a lot of stuff, a lot of answers maybe to their questions, and maybe they might be willing to pay for that.
You could even have like a community where people from different
Yes,
areas come to this kind of monthly conversation about
right.
like a Q&A kind of mastermind. Like, hey, every month I go to this thing and we meet with an expert. She tells us stuff to do with our
Right.
teams, right? It could be,
Right.
and for you with all the tools that are involved in your consulting, if there's anything that isn't like, well, that would be able to be included in like a bundle library type thing, like, yeah, here's the access to my tools and
Right.
what we use. So I think there are a lot of pieces there. So what would be the next step, Pia? Is it brainstorming or?
I think it could be that, but I need to build the list first anyways. But I think also I've been thinking that maybe for the old clients that, that have already bought my services earlier,
Yeah.
they are not in any lists that I'm using, but I think it's okay
Ah.
to add them to the list perhaps.
I
Yeah.
think it would be, and to reach out to them, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and reach out to them and be able to say, you know, hey, you know, there's the whole thing, if you add them to the list, you want to be able to email and say, hey, I've added you to this list. I would love to communicate to you. This is how, so you just want to make sure it's permission and everything there. But I would say overall to reach out to those people, even as your network, to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm working on. Here's a couple of resources, or hey, would you like to chat? Just because they are very warm leads in your network. But I think, like you said, I need to build my list first. And so then we go back to, you know, the next step is like, what are some other things, like you asked earlier, that I could create that would be helpful to these different audiences that I'm interacting with? You know, is there something, if I'm at a corporate event, that I could give that these people would be interested in giving me their email for? Something
Right.
like that. So, okay, so the next step is brainstorming some lead magnets. Is that where we're at?
I guess so. Again.
The look on her face was like,
Back there again. Yeah.
Or
I know. I think we have some stuff on your Trello board, so go check it out there. I think I actually have
Alright.
a list of lead magnet ideas.
All right.
So,
Or
Okay.
yeah.
Pia, even just start with doing a re-engagement campaign. So taking your past clients, putting them in your email system, and then sending them an opt-in campaign. So just send them an email where they click a button and say, yes, I want to stay subscribed to this list. And so then you have safe permission to email them. And that might get you, you know, X amount of people already onto your list. So you could
Right.
start there just to give you more confidence, like, oh yes, these people are staying
These
on.
people want to hear what I have to say.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
and if you're doing a training or something like that, you could put a QR code in your training where they could go and get your lead magnet, or even just jump on your list. Like, I mean, most people,
mhm.
the whole idea of a lead magnet is you're trading them something valuable for their email. And when you write it and create your opt-in, ask for the best, ask them, say, please add your best email. That way you don't end up with something like hot mama at Hotmail. You want the actual email
Right.
that's actually going to open. Like, so if you ask though for the best email, for whatever reason, people will give you the email that they use.
Yeah, they're like, oh, that
Yeah.
tricked me. I think I was the real one.
Yeah. I just think that according to the legislation in Europe, if somebody has been your client, you have their email already. So I think you are okay to send, because then you always have the
Yeah, you
answer.
have
Subscribe.
permission for communication, and as long
Yeah.
as you have given them an easy way to opt out, then
Yes.
usually that covers us for
Unsubscribe
GDPR.
button.
Yeah.
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 Our
Yeah.
European side, we have a lot of rules over our side with
Yeah.
permission, but they're relatively easy to work with. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, that would be fine, and it's not gonna. Yeah, we and when you're ready for that, you know, throw it on the trail roll. We'll hash it out.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
And Miss Liz Raleigh, who's getting into her list as well this month. Thoughts, questions?
So just a couple of things. First, a comment. In my circles, for lack of a better thing, if you exchange if you exchange business cards at an event, it's tacit agreement that you're going to end up on the mailing list. It's just, you know, nobody ever says, you know, how dare you put my, you know, I just gave you my business card and, you know,
I just gave you my business card with my email. How dare you email me?
right.
Right.
The other thing though, as Kelly was talking, I was trying to figure this out. I get offers from, like, I don't even remember what it really is, but it's like sleep.com or something like that. And they'll ask me if they can post to my website a link to a particular article, like, you know, good sleep hygiene. Or the most recent one, though, is very specific and really made me think all over again. It's how to get financial assistance for a hospital bed. For my people, that could be really, really valuable.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm very hesitant to do it. I don't know this organization. I don't know what will happen when somebody from my list clicks to find out how to get financial help in getting a hospital bed. They're very expensive.
Yeah.
My temptation in general is just, I keep saying no. Because I can't find I don't know a reasonable way to say yes.
Got it. Well, so we know the con, right? The con is that if we do it and we set it up and these people aren't legit or good or have a good user experience for the person, or, you know, there's so many of those things in the clinical area, Liz, we know, like in these medical things where they can steer you astray. So like those things we absolutely would need to vet, right? We would need to, and they would need to come up with that information like, oh, if we were truly interested to go, this sounds great. It's not just, sure, I'll just sell your link. It's like, great, send me the information of this collaboration, right? If you're actually interested. The flip side, I would say, is what's the pro? What is the pro in your situation? Like the pro would be perhaps a good business that can help your client, right? In this situation, that business. So the responsibility is we need to be able to vet to the degree that we can if this business is truly beneficial, which now puts the burden on you to a certain degree. And of course, in the language that you would explain, hey, these sound great. I've talked with Joe. That's all I know, kind of thing, being able to create that collaboration. Then it's just, and if that's the only pro, if it's not, because we know SEO is not a thing you need help with right now. It's not the thing. So she's got SEO, whatever. We're gonna get the right people to her.
Right. Yesterday I heard from Eugene, Oregon.
Oh, good. Yeah. No, just right around the corner. So our SEO is doing too well. We have a different issue there. So that's the other part, right? Is it sounds like, you know, maybe there's a list for you to start making of vetted vendors. So when you do have people, you're like, these are people I do like. And even though this guy may not be it, and I don't have time to research them, I'm going to start making a better list of the ones I do know.
I think there's also an opportunity there. Like if you vet them and you talk to them and you decide that that is something that you could get maybe an affiliate link or something so that if you're helping your people, it's also helping you just by sharing that information.
Right. Right. Yeah. Some of these places are nonprofits. They're really just sharing information.
Yeah. And in that case, I would say like, these are our vetted, like these are our trustworthy people that we recommend.
Yeah, or things that we've checked out, we've sought out, you know, that we can for you and think they're worth checking out on your own. And yeah, because even I'm actually familiar with sleep.com and stuff. And that's why we don't stay in the bubble, Liz. When you have these opportunities come up, like pull them into the group, pull it onto your Trello board. So you're not doing this alone and we can brainstorm. I mean, I'm glad we brought it up here, but let's you know, when it happens, let's have this kind of help for all of you. That's what this is for, right? It's the courses and all that linear stuff. That's great. But this is day-to-day entrepreneurship. This is, where do I stick my lead magnet? Maybe I put a button to get coffee. You know, do I do a collaboration with the sleep.com or the other people? That's the day-to-day nitty-gritty. And that's what we're here to help facilitate with you guys. Because I think that's the part that gets overlooked. We can create our mission statement till the cows come home, and it's important. Okay, it is. But in the end, it's going to be this kind of stuff that moves us through to the end of the day. So yeah. Well, did that help, Liz, at all? I don't know if we got an answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Liz, just one more thing. Nikki Schauder has done a lot of collaborations, like blogs back and forth. So you might reach out to her and just say, hey, how do you deal with these people? Like, what's your workflow? How many conversations do you have before you feel comfortable? And just see kind of what she says, because she does a lot.
Yeah, because she also has a big SEO. A lot of people who want to like put stuff on her site and collaborate with her. And she's done certain collaborations, and she's also connected with that nonprofit space. So kind of how do you vet it? She might have some good insight too. So that's a great one. But do that in 2 weeks, because she is headed to Europe right now as we speak. I will see Nikki next week. So yeah, I know, I'm so excited. So super awesome. Okay, well, Christina, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah. So next week we're gonna actually take what we learned here and go even deeper dive into funnels. So all of these questions like, Pia, where do we put the lead magnets, and Chenge, how do we get people to go onto the list? We can dive deeper into that, and we can go into specifics like, here's where you place that, here's how you would handle that. these are best practices with that. So super, yeah, the F word again. We love,
Yeah,
I love the
that F
funnels.
word. Yeah, the funnel
I'm
word.
all about the funnels.
It's the
conversion,
nitty gritty
do
though.
it.
This is the stuff that you do want to talk about. Like I said, it's like, it's not the overview. This is now we're going
Right.
to talk about, like, they're not getting on. Okay, what do we do? Let's dive into it right now. So this is it. We're in it. We're being bold. We're facing the numbers. It's happening. Kelly,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Anytime.
Oh,
Awesome,
really.
Kelly. So good.
I would just say it's one of our best guests. I really appreciate your support and everything in the group. So thank you so much. Okay, well, awesome. If there's anything else, let me know. But get in the group. We're using it a lot, all right? But it has plenty of information to really support you. And as time goes on, well, Kelly and Chelsea will be in there more, sharing some topics and stuff. I shared some videos. I mean, it's a lot. I don't want to over Facebook you guys, but it's also fun because I don't really do the Facebook thing. And I don't the only people I want to share stuff with is you guys. So I get to go, oh, look what we did today. My friends don't care if I closed out my day. Like nobody's like, yay. So I get to share that with you guys. So let me know if it gets too cheesy. I'll reel back. But that's what's happening right now. I'm
And
very giddy
if you
about it.
all are having trouble getting around or you're confused about anything, just message me in the group or email me and I can help. We can jump on a call. I can help you figure out how to use it to make it work for you. Because it is a new thing, right? It's a new thing we're trying together. So we want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable because it's your place.
Yeah, it's your place for sure to be supported and use the resources, right? Thursdays are great, but there's so much more that we can be utilizing. And I think that's the big push. It's like, yeah, I like chatting and sharing stuff with you guys, but it is about the resources that are in there to really use them and those full spaces of your business. Every single one of you, Kelly's is soon to come, Change's, as your Trello boards have also been updated with all the updated information for your business to start to understand kind of what am I stepping into? That Trello space should also be that resource of clarity for your messaging, what you're looking at, your ideas. So use these things. They're not just fun, again, they're not just fun mission statements. They're really assets to move the business forward. So, all right. I will stop talking, let you guys go consume stuff and do stuff. And I will see you all later. So you unmute, just say bye, I guess.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Great
Bye.
Fridays to your check-ins. Yay.